Welcome back to the Art Anime Podcast, Tokyo Podfathers, whatever name you want to give it to us. We are known as the best damn anime podcast on the internet. Please don't check us on that. Here with me today, you know him from his own channel, Sumito Media. You know him from his podcast. You can catch him on twitch.tv/Sumito Media. Check out his merch line. It is Sumito Media and Alex. Thank you guys for joining us on this podcast. Very excited to have you guys here.
Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
I'm a huge fan of you guys' stuff, and although Sumito Media, your channel isn't anime driven, you've obviously showed how much of a fan you are of the medium, showing that you're a huge fan of NGE, Zombieland Saga, one of my personal favorites, and Alex being a huge fan of Naruto, which in the fan base, not a lot of people are paying attention to it at the very moment because Naruto ended, I think, in what was it, when did Naruto Shippuden end? It was 2018 or 2017?
I think so. It sounds right.
Right. And to ask you, first of all, I'm not watching Boruto. Are you watching Boruto?
Okay, I have thoughts about this. I do not like the anime at all from what they've done. But if you read the manga that's coming out monthly, it's just as good as the best of Naruto. I'll put all my creds on the line for that.
Right.
It's so enjoyable. If when they get around to animating what they're doing in the manga, it'll be so good. I have such hope.
So it's still ongoing at this very moment. There's no end in sight.
No, I'm still reading it every 20th of every month.
Oh, I see. So I finished Shippuden I finished the Shippuden manga when it first not aired. It was in 2014, 2015 when the manga ended, and I remember that mainly because I was injured during that time. So I was like, I'll just read Naruto while I'm here.
Yeah.
And so I was pretty happy about the ending. Obviously, I was that loser who's like, who marries who has kids with who kind of deal. Oh yeah, ships,
Yeah.
But then I saw shots of Boruto, and then when I started seeing how the story was playing out, the son of Naruto, immediately I just didn't like the main character, and I think that's tradition in Naruto in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because me and my friends were just discussing, you got this kid who's ungrateful, man. You have no idea what Naruto went through, man. He's just acting like a punk. Naruto has a family, So that's right off the bat. I was like, I'm not feeling this.
I think that's
but
a
then
thing.
I heard they're trying to go back to their roots in terms of how they did the fight scenes and stuff like that. So I haven't picked it up yet, but hearing that the manga's better, I might just go in that direction.
I think people put so much pressure on Boruto to know Naruto's full backstory, but if you think of your own parents, do you know their entire life story? Could you just state it?
No.
I don't know. He probably didn't put that pressure on him in the story. I think in a meta sense, the story of Naruto was about Kishimoto, but the story of Boruto is his way of telling his son's life, where dad was busy all the time, and that's kind of where it's coming from what I've understood from reading about stuff.
Okay. Right, so you're never here for me, which is why I'm gonna act out. It's repeating itself because Naruto was acting out because he had no.
I think that's the basis of where it's coming from. It's coming from a different place.
Okay. Right. I had no family, so I need to get people to look at me, kind of deal. Okay, yeah. I could see that. So was that the only shonen series that you focused on? I remember you guys discussing how you won't pick up One Piece. I am a huge fan of One Piece, and I'm not going to talk your guys' ear off on that, but you really should pick it up. It's a freaking journey. Holy crap. We're at chapter 1010, I think, and it's we need more. It's everyone says 900 episodes is too much. It's not enough for me. I want constantly just everything. I want all my answers, all my questions answered and stuff like that. But are there any other shonen series you looked at in the early 90s? Were you into Bleach, Dragon Ball, for both of you?
Dragon Ball, I think I can remember what happened in the first couple seasons, what actually aired on Toonami and was on right after school. But
right.
Outside of that, Yu-Gi-Oh counts as a shonen, right?
I think.
I think so, yeah, because in the Shonen Jump,
it's published
magazines.
in Shonen Jump, yeah.
And you get a free card. I remember, this is so messed up. I remember finding Shonen Jump here at some of the the Asian markets growing up, and me and my brother wouldn't buy the magazines, but we try to jack the cards that were on the inside because
you're one of them.
I love that because it only gave you one of like 4 different common cards, which means you and your brother had like a full 40-card deck of nothing but fucking Pot of Greed. Just completely ineligible in any actual duel.
And then until this day, we don't know what Pot of Greed does.
No one knows what Pot of Greed does. It's a complicated card.
Yeah, it's way more than one sentence. Yeah,
in all seriousness, since you speak of Yu-Gi-Oh, because I recently got back into it, it's more complicated than ever playing the game.
I actually have my deck right here.
Ooh, oh really? Draw a card, Alex.
Let me open my deck pouch.
Oh my god, I hear the Velcro. Someone kill me.
Oh, it's the Ultra Pro deck box with Velcro.
What's your top card, Alex? Draw your top card.
Secret Pass to the Treasure, which was the ultimate cheese. Because you can attack their life points directly, no matter what.
It would have been funny if it was Jinzo.
Interesting.
Have you guys seen Trihex's fucking 90-page PowerPoint slide on playing Yu-Gi-Oh in the early 2000s?
No, I watched a video on like what the meta was in the early 2000s, and like the top deck was called Summon Skull Beatdown. It was just
that's one of them. Yep.
Yeah, and that's it's really fascinating because it's so slow and archaic back then, but that was the fun times.
Yeah. Trihex, who I'm sure people watching will recognize, is a relatively sizable Twitch streamer. He's a speedrunner for a number of different video games, and he's always featured pretty prominently at like the Amazing Games Done quick shows for Yoshi's Island and a few other things. Ooh. He did a 3.5-hour Twitch stream where he just clicked through like 100-something slides of what it was like, how he got into Yu-Gi-Oh, playing Yu-Gi-Oh and playing Magic the Gathering in like the early 2000s or whenever it was. Right. And he had like pictures of him and like pictures of his school cafeteria, like the actual lunch table he sat at as people would bring out their binders and trade cards. And it was just a whole big nostalgia fest. But he was just talking about like the absolute chaos that was getting off of the bus, getting your deck ready, finding one of the 12 kids who was ready to duel so that you could quickly duel 3 or 4 duels before the first class started, and then simultaneously doing the same thing at lunch and like eating quickly so that you could get to a table, be the first one ready to actually try out your deck. And everybody, the only thing that he recalled from that era was just how cheesy decks were. Like the only thing you could do was just try and pull out a Yadagarutsu and just lock your opponent out of drawing any cards on their deck and like try and kill somebody in one turn. And like it was so much fucking nostalgia, dude. Like I remember this dude talking about somebody playing Jinzo, which is a card that doesn't let you use magic or trap cards.
The first floodgate card.
The actual fucking pain.
Actually, Jinzo blocks memes from being played, if I remember correctly.
That's what it is exactly. If you play Jinzo, you can't play Pot of Greed. He's Pot of Anti-Greed.
We all watch Little Karibo, right?
Oh, the YouTuber. Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. He has a joke.
Absolutely.
There's a joke in that where it's like, did you just summon a bunch of monsters in one turn? I had that in real life at a friend's house for the first time I ever went to a friend's house to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I tried.
When Kaiba goes, "Fuck your rules, I have money."
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah. But I had a real life in second grade. I tried summoning 2 monsters in one turn, and my friend said you can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do that? I watch the show. They do it all the time. And he pulled out the rule book.
I remember trying to play Pokemon, and somebody attacked one of my cards and like killed my Pikachu, and I was like, nah dude, in this show they just fucking say a bunch of shit and they just withstand. Pikachu, hang on there. And I was like, nah, my Pikachu didn't get knocked out, dude. I just screamed at it. It's fine, man. It endured that shot.
Duelist Kingdom Yu-Gi-Oh was the funniest thing ever because you had the main character attacking spell cards, like, I'm gonna attack the moon, and it's like, that's a field spell, bro. You can't do that.
I remember that shit. Yeah.
We always reference that crap where it's like, oh hey, there's a force field and your monsters get crushed. Like, no, like Yugi, it doesn't work like that. And it's
in the third episode, my Valentine has her harpies and they can't attack them because they can fly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No,
what is that?
Look at this field. Like, this field gives me an attack boost. Like, we're just standing in the forest, man. It doesn't work.
Bro,
like that.
the episode where fucking Yami gets fucking trapped into a duel against a dude, and they're not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! They're not playing Duel Monsters. They're playing like a dice game.
Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Dungeon Dice Monsters. Yeah.
And the fucking climax move is him summoning Dark Magician by unraveling the die in a slightly different orientation than the other times they unraveled the die.
It taught us everything about geometry. It's like, you could open a box like this, but you could do it in 3 ways. And
it's like you can't summon. You don't have any spaces left to summon. Look at how wide my playing field is. And he's like, you forget, I have the heart of the dice die.
Oh, dude, I remember that.
Dumb.
Oh, Duke Devlin. That was the dude's name.
Yeah.
No, I think the funniest thing I take from like early Yu-Gi-Oh show was I love Kaiba, the memes he makes, and like there's a Kaiba compilation of him just roasting people, like the whole like anyone who's late for the dueling tournament is disqualified. Mokuba, make sure that Wheeler is late. And I'm like, oh, dude, that's savage. I love it. But the one thing I hate most about Kaiba was when he was versing Yugi in Duelist Kingdom and from like the gates. Yugi had him locked
on the roof.
Yeah, on the roof. And then Kaiba's like, hey, if you attack me, there's going to be a blast to win. I'm going to fall off this castle and die. So you better
Which
not
made
attack me.
No sense.
You're
Like,
such a
they're
punk, man.
they're holograms. You'd just be jumping, Kaiba.
I know.
Yeah.
He's saying, if you go for game, I'm going to kill myself. It's just...
No, that was his whole shtick. Like when he kidnapped his fucking grandpa, he was like, "Yeah, it was to win this Blue Eyes, and I'm gonna rip it in half so it can't be used against me."
Why not just
It's a
rip
motherfucker,
every
it's a
card?
card game. Like what?
That's the thing too. He like because Pegasus in that world like created the game, and yet his company was able to mass produce cards. It's like, dude, you could just print more, right? Or like I could just print. I don't know how the economy of cards works. And there's a really good video by Mother's Basement where he talks about the absurdity of Kaiba's like wealth. It's wonky. Like,
Well,
the world in there is crazy.
I think cards are like gold in that universe where there's a finite amount of them. Like
The Blue Eyes absolutely had to be. Like the episode 1, they were like, "Oh, there's only fucking 3 of these. You guys
Well,
better respect
no,
the rarity
no.
of this card. There's only 3 of them."
no, there's
Oh my
4
God,
because Kaiba uses 3.
It's
he
been
ripped the
200
4th.
years, man. I don't remember season 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, he's right because like there was 4 and he owned 3, and it wasn't until later on he found out he could fuse all 3 of them together. But for me, it's just like how much are each of those cards if you have all 3? And like when he showed like this, I remember the moment where he saw the 4th Blue Eyes in Yugi's grandpa's shop. He opens a briefcase full of cards. He's like, "I'll trade you all these for that one." And when I look at that briefcase of cards, all those cards are crap in this day and age. It's like those are all trash, dude.
Yeah.
So it's I miss old Yu-Gi-Oh because today's Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just like I've lost on turn 1 numerous times. Back then it was a battle of attrition where it's like turn 1, turn 2.
How do you lose on turn
yeah.
1?
Oh, okay.
You can get OTK'd in
Really?
Yu-Gi-Oh.
So-
Like Magic specifically has cards that are banned, so that doesn't happen. But Yu-Gi-Oh just doesn't.
Oh, wow.
Yu-Gi-Oh has a ban list, but it's just decks have gotten so summon heavy. So pretty much first turn you can't attack. Second turn you do attack, and I have a deck that specializes in going second because I try to OTK as well. The thing is that people make end boards of so many monsters on their board, and all those monster effects basically say your opponent can't summon, or your opponent can't do this, or this card has 3 free negates. So if it's my turn, I use Monster Reborn, I'll negate that. You can't. So basically, it's kind of like literally no you. It's like the reverse. You basically put reverse cards on your first turn, and you watch your opponent just like sit there and cry. And
Yeah, it's just a game of Uno at that point. Yeah.
yeah, and so I kind of had to stop playing for a bit just because I'm just like, dude, I don't have enough money to like keep up with these guys, man. Well,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's so going forward with like other anime, right? Here's my problem with NGE, man. Okay, and this is strictly my experience, and I
buddy.
apologize for this. So, I came off of watching an anime called Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. It was the balls to the wall mech anime series that just
Yeah, it's
had,
NGE
like-
Light. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's not. No, I'm not gonna take this. It was basically one of those like really like, motivated because I love like mech shows like Gundam and stuff like that. And so when I was doing a big run of just old school mech anime series, after Gurren Lagann, which ended with a bang, universes being thrown at each other and big giant drills, I was like, oh crap, NGE is like a cult classic. I should watch this. I really liked the style, and I really liked, the Evil One looks amazing. Like I want to get like models of that and stuff like that. Dude, I can't get past the last 2 episodes, okay? Like the whole like mind crazy thing and like everything's drawn in crayon, and it's like I know it's a big psychological thing that's going on with the main character.
You've also seen the movie, though, right?
Yes, I have seen the movie.
Okay.
And I love the fight scene with like Asuka and all those angels coming down, and the ending part is like a total like whoa kind of deal. And I've read summaries and papers on just like this analysis on the movie and everything else. I'm aware that the studio was running out of money. That's why they kind of botched the last 2 episodes. But the thing is, it's like I took the whole thing at face value, and I'm just like, okay, this is just really crazy. I don't get what's going on. And immediately people are like, well, yeah, you're not smart enough to know what's going on. Therefore, your opinion on this series doesn't count. And that kind of soured my mindset on the fan base.
That is exactly how I would expect the fan base to react. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, oh,
everything you said is absolutely true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Rick and Morty. It's like, oh, there's some jokes that fly over my head, and they're like, oh, you're not smart enough to understand it, so get out of here. You're not a fan unless you're smart. So that's what kind of turned me sour on NGE was, in my experience, I was expecting out balls to the wall, like, yo, I'm gonna get in this fight all these angels and we're going to get out of this alive and I'm going to solve all my problems, and yet I get a character that's just losing his mind because I grew up with mech pilots like Hiro Yui from Gundam Wing and like all these 16-year-olds that are acting like military men. I was kind of like yelling at Shinji like, dude, come on, get it together, like turn it up.
I mean, I think if you go into Ava, like you are sort of like the prime candidate for someone who would really appreciate Ava and be a real Ava fan, but I think going into it expecting a mech anime and not appreciating that it isn't, like if you go into it expecting a mech anime and like you appreciate the Avas, and then the fact that it's not a mech anime doesn't completely turn you around and go, oh, this is actually incredible. Like I went into this from a huge history of watching Gundam and what have you, and the creator of the show went in with an appreciation of mech anime and decided to almost play on that trope to force you into watching something different and go, yo, what if the main character isn't Superman? Right? What if it was you with your flaws and your weaknesses?
He's not capable.
But you still had to you still had to do this and that. Like, what happens when that becomes the source of everything, and then everything getting tied into each other? Like, it's a twofold anime, right? Halfway through, you go through, and it's like, oh, this is not going to be mech fights. This is going to be an actual philosophical debate on what happens when the end of the world is coming, no matter what. But it's up to you to decide on how you handle it. And every single character is just a different viewpoint on, well, what happens if you decided to spend it and say goodbye to everything, or what happens if you decide to go out a hero, what happens if you decide to just let go of all the anger you've had, or what if you decide to just sit in a corner, cry, and say, no, this is too much for me.
For sure. It is due for a rewatch for me, and I acknowledge the influence it's had on everything else in terms of anime and the community and stuff like that. And that is my own fault for not like kind of like seeing it that way, because the whole time I kept on thinking on this blind watch, I was like, he's going to turn it around. Every character does. You know, I've seen a lot of, I saw a lot of anime series where guys would be backed into a corner and they just turn it up and they're like, like F this. And they go on that rampage that we all love to see. Or
and that's the genius of it, man. That's the genius of it. There is no beast mode in real life. You know,
you're right,
like
correct, yeah.
One of the biggest things ever is Asuka's scene in the movie, where it's like you can go all out as much as you want. Like do the protagonist thing, go ballistic, pull every power that you have out of your ass. Like, and it's not going to matter.
Enough. It wasn't.
It's
enough.
Absolutely not going to matter. Like the end is coming no matter what. Like you know how this plays out.
Right. See that I can understand. Oh Jesus, man! I think
that's what you have to appreciate in Evangelion. Like it is very much a meme in the community to say Evangelion is a bad mech anime, because it absolutely is a bad mech anime. It's not mechs. They're not even piloting mechs. Right. If you remember.
Right. Well, the mechs. The mechs is just kind of like a side thing. What we're trying to do is tell a story about how someone's trying to cope with like being placed in this position where, hey, you're the guy. I never asked you to be the guy, but you're the guy to do all this. And it's like, I never wanted this. It's like, well, I'll figure it out then. And it goes from there.
And then they could have done that with just like blanket symbolism and just general vagueness. But the fact that like the story of Shinji's mom, the story of Rei, the fact that Asuka has the backstory that she does, the fact that Kaworu is not just a random character introduced for no reason, but shows a completely different side of every other character that you've met up to that point once they meet him, is like, you know, none of this was an accident. None of this became brilliant and really made you have to think about what's going on by accident. Like, this was all episode 1, Misato showing up and being, you know, having a fast car and introducing this whole life, and Shinji just being kind of absent in the whole explosions going on around them is still symbolism from moment 0. Like, they know the ride they're about to put you on, sort of thing.
Okay, so this is the best perspective I got on this ever, because mostly everyone else just dismisses me. They're like, we get it, you don't like it, you just don't understand. I'm like, oh, come on, that's not, like, am I missing something?
The reality is that it's too much is the thing. Like, I can, for the most part, appreciate a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion to an extent, because I haven't seen Gurren Lagann, I haven't seen Cowboy Bebop, I haven't seen all the animes that people respect that came from the inspiration of Evangelion's success and became their own beautiful things. Like, I've only seen Eva in a way that wasn't spoiled for me somehow, even though it's a 20-year-old anime, right? And then
hard to spoil,
being the type of person who, like, after I see any movie, I'm one of the dudes who, like, goes and watches the analyses on YouTube. Like, I unironically do that to see what, like, symbolism or whatever I missed. So it's like, Evangelion was just fucking perfect for me, because it's like, oh, dude, I'm so fucking smart for having enjoyed this anime, because I didn't even fucking notice that everything is just...
I'm on the right side of history. Heck yeah. I get to chastise everyone else that doesn't agree with my opinion.
I mean, the reality is that, Evangelion is not a good anime if you're looking to just enjoy it at surface value. It would be a mech anime without a bunch of mech fights, and then a school daily life anime that doesn't have a lot of school and daily life. There's no relationships. There's no interpersonal comedy. There's barely any drama that isn't tied to, like, nihilism and, you know, the greater picture of, you know, like, Shinji doesn't actually care about whether or not his dad accepts him. Like, there's a whole different thing going on with that guy, you know?
Right.
So it's like, it doesn't play into any of the other tropes well, other than just being this sort of piece of art that makes you go, oh, yeah, I guess life is just sort of empty and meaningless.
Yeah, and that I'm willing to accept as, like, again, my own fault, because I was looking for something that really wasn't there. I guess for me now, because back then, I would say when I was watching it, I was pretty ignorant of just trying to be like, oh, well, they're trying to enter this in a different angle. And, like, for me, it's like, again, coming off of Gurren Lagann, I was just thinking, oh, this is going to be, like, hype, you know? And all the, like, the gory fights and all the craziness is actually something I liked, but I just kept on all the other stuff that was going over my head, such as, like, the subtle details of, like, all, like, the long pauses and just... how hard it was for Shinji just kind of getting it together kind of deal. And people would, like, link me, like, summaries and analysis videos as well. For me, I was trying to just rate the anime itself without having all these extra summaries and analysis videos attached to it, because at that point, like, I need to consume content in order for people to explain to me why this was a great series kind of deal. When in reality, whenever I try to rate series, and I noticed for you on your list, like, you're very strict on, like, what series you give a 10. I don't want to be where it's like, I watch Evangelion, but if I want to give it a 10, I need to understand it by watching these other YouTube videos to the side. That's not a part of the content. That's just, like, a general rule for me. So yeah. So it's due for a rewatch for me. Like, I'll admit that. Like, I just the last two episodes, I just, in that moment, I felt betrayed. I was like, what is this? What is this? And then they were like, oh, they ran out of money. I'm like, oh, they could just went straight to the movie then. And the movie that did fix all.
Like, there were several things that were sort of like, they're appreciated as, like, an execution of what they could do, given that they were lacking money in the studio. So, like, there's a very notorious scene in one of the later episodes that's just Asuka and Rei in an elevator for, like, legit 45 seconds without moving.
The longest cut ever. Or that and Misato waiting at the train station. Like,
and there were countless analyses of, like, why it was important to have this and showcase, like, there's 45 seconds and then there's, like, a fight between the two, specifically to the elevator scene. And the reality of the situation is they needed to fill 1 minute out of the 19 minutes they had with very little money. Right,
stretching it, which is
and they could have done it anywhere. They could have done a long waiting scene. They could have done a bunch of B-roll shots, but they decided to specifically use it in this moment before a big fight between these two characters, where it's like one of them looks pissed off, the other one looks empty, and then they get into a fight, and one of them's pissed off, and the other one looks empty. And it's like, you know, it gives you more personality to the character. I mean, it's still a cheap way to do animation, but it's like, what else? Like, it's still a good execution for, like, hey, we don't have money for this scene, so figure it out.
It's pretty big brain, mainly because they're just trying to make use of, like, kind of a rough situation in terms of filling time. Because in most shonen series, they would just do flashbacks. Like, in Naruto, absolutely. Flashbacks. And, like, dude, One Piece, as much as I would love to shield for One Piece, dude, the flashbacks are real. And, like, in Bleach, they had recap episodes. They had entire seasons of filler where it's just like, hey, here's the high point of this one fight, and we're going to take a 30-episode break and show you a completely different story that has nothing related to the canon story. Like, I love Bleach to no end, but, like, times like that where it would just been better to either not air anything or just be upfront with the fan base and say, hey, we need to just take, like, a 1 month break. You know, we're not going to force any, like, filler content on you guys. Go watch something else. We'll be back with, like, the stuff you want later on. Which is why that's why I think like shows like My Hero Academia and Attack on Titan are doing fairly well because there's like no filler episodes. I think there's like I'll recap now and then just in case we forget what happened, but most of the time we're all just marathoning stuff right now.
Yeah. Have you seen the few episodes of The Way of the House Husband that came out yesterday?
Oh, I read. My buddy got me into the manga and I loved it.
Yeah, the manga's great. I mean, the premise is
What show was it?
great. The Way of the House Husband. It's the ex-Yakuza boss who's now a house husband doing mundane shit.
Oh.
And,
So
but
it
he
got a
treats
Netflix
everything like a gangster. He's just like, oh, you got the stuff,
Yeah.
and he's just buying sugar. Just like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah. It's hilarious in concept. The manga's pretty good. I've read the first few chapters.
It looks
So
like a
that-
slideshow though on Netflix. Like I watched the first.
So
two
the
episodes.
animation on Netflix is it's not horrendous. So it actually gets me excited, but it's bad. Like it's
Yeah.
Alex, you ever do like a fucking PowerPoint slide and it like blends into the next PowerPoint slide? Like
yeah,
as an
always.
effect?
I'm a professional.
So that's
Oh, yeah.
legitimately how they animate him looking the other way.
Oh no.
Slide 1 is a still image of him looking at the cashier, and then someone calls his name, and then it PowerPoint slide blends
Like-
into him looking in another direction.
Like a dissolve.
Like a dissolve would be like
Too
that
high
would be a
end?
nice way of saying
Like
it. Yeah,
too
it'd
high
be
end?
too high end. He did not buy that transition pack for PowerPoint.
Yeah, he just
he has the
flip,
default. yeah,
flip and slide. That's all he
it's
does.
that they
it's so
legit have like internet historian levels of animation where it's straight up finger
What?
puppets. Like it's a background, it's cut out to the character, and it's just them bouncing up and down, and it's supposed to be them like doing yoga.
Wow.
And on one hand, like it's cheap animation. In a lot of
Very.
situations, I was like, "Yo, this looks bad. Like it's not artistically rendered." But like you have to appreciate it because like the amount of manga that comes out to the amount of stuff that gets adapted into anime is quite poor, right? And it's not like
Right.
there isn't a lack
Tell
of
me
good
about
voice
it.
actors or good music that could be used. It's just animation's so fucking slow and expensive, right?
Yeah.
So it does make you think that like in more dialogue heavy comedies like this where it's like you didn't really need action. Like Psyche K doesn't need to be super well animated. It's a dialogue comedy. So it's like if you could drop the dialogue and that means you get 5 seasons of something which otherwise might only get 1 season because it costs way more, like do you appreciate that as
So
hey, at least it got made sort of thing.
So to my understanding, is it basically if I'm reading the manga, but I also have the audiobook playing?
It's a little better than that.
I
There
mean,
are
that might
some
be even better than what's on Netflix. Honestly,
There
But,
are
like, yeah.
some scenes that are not that bad. There are some scenes that are legitimately animated, but it's almost like they have scenes that are animated normally, like you wouldn't tell that it was bad budget.
Oh,
But then
okay.
they have like conversation scenes where it's like he falls over, and it's not even like a Family Guy style one frame to the next frame he's on the ground.
It's like
They
here's a
do,
picture
like-
of him standing, then here's a picture of him falling.
They do
over,
a
and they put the
triple
sound
split
effect.
on the screen, Alex, where the first third is him standing and the second third is him on the ground, and then the third is like someone who I guess saw him fall on the ground or something.
Yeah, and
and
they
they
put the
sweep in one at a time,
the
and
sound
each
effects in
time
the
the frame
background,
comes
too.
in, he's going, you didn't see that, did you? Like it's
Oh,
oh
no.
my god.
I feel like all the animation went into the Roomba, like because they showed like the vacuum.
They didn't
moving.
even
I
show
was like,
the
there you go.
fucking cat bouncing around the fucking room after. I was like, if they're gonna animate anything, it'd be that, right?
Yeah, because
I
that's the
guess
most
not.
movement. That's the most movement in the entire
The
episode.
Roomba
frame,
animation
so
was smooth though. The Roomba
Yeah.
animation was flawless.
That's why I watched that series. It's that
Yeah.
good. It's just, and that same animation style was done in that one. Was it Goku dolls? Like the one with the gangsters that made an idol group kind of deal.
Nah, it wasn't that bad.
It's I don't know. It's,
Goku
it's a little
Doll's
close.
animation wasn't great, but it was from like 2005 or 2007 or something. But like
Right.
it is significant. If you went and watched Goku Dolls, I don't think you would even complain about the animation. I think if I didn't say anything about the animation to anybody, like even somebody who didn't watch anime, and I showed them The Way of the House Husband, they were like, "Yo, why the fuck is this animated like this?" Immediately.
Right. It's like why is it so clunky and all that? Because even when they move their mouths, it's like, oh, we have 2 mouth pictures. We'll just like
And that's-
alternate
yeah.
between them. It's like South Park at that point when you think about it.
It is. I want to know how much cheaper it was. I want to know the numbers. If a real animated episode
about
of
that
like
all the
Psyche
time.
K with no movement and a real animated episode of like Jujutsu Kaisen with a lot of movement, what is the price difference between an episode of The Way of the House Husband animated the way it is,
$7.
and a dialogue comedy and a shonen? What is the difference? In
I bet
price?
it's the same because I just keep hearing stuff about how animators are just paid nothing, and it's the most depressing thing to hear sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, it's like I'm not sure what's going on in those studios.
Hey,
and, like,
they're getting paid in exposure.
This is true.
I don't know. I can't read any of their names in the credits.
No,
Is it American exposure or is it Japanese exposure?
No, like
'Cause the conversion rate's really low right now.
No, they
Japan just has no clout.
No, they do the animation outside. They literally get exposure.
Oh, a little bit of sunlight. There you go. Yeah, love it.
Exactly. We had to halt production of Naruto season 19 because Biollante attacked the studio.
Because there was no cloud cover.
No.
Bruh.
No, but you make a good point though about how if it's like a show that doesn't really have a lot of action and a lot of movement, you don't really need to have top-notch animation. There are a few like slice of life shows that I've watched that kind of, it was like the epitome of like weird flex, but okay. Like I think
they would probably refer to it as stylized to make it sound fancy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's one of those buzzwords that gets us to watch. Sure.
I mean, here's the thing. I thought like me and Alex had this whole discussion about me sort of like wanting to make one of my life goals to have like an animation studio, so I could just do like whatever style of comedy and storytelling, like try and get to a point in my life where that could be something I could do.
Oh, for sure.
And
I'd invest in that, by the way, man. Just say the word.
Hey, appreciate that.
Yeah.
We talked about the concept of animation inevitably having to get cheaper over the course of time with better technology and just maybe people getting more used to computer-generated graphics versus, you know, like hand-drawn cells like you'd see in the 90s.
Blockchain.
But I just don't know if that's I just don't know if that's true after seeing The Way of the House Husband. Like that animation was off-putting, bro. It was tough to enjoy the story because the animation was so... I feel like it was a poor execution rather than this is just what low-budget animation looks like.
I mean, were there any news stories that came out saying that the production was rushed? They had a low budget? Were they working on their B-team animators?
The manga only came out a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I was introduced to about a year and a half ago, and it was like 50 or 60 chapters in. I don't know. But that's quite a... Like that's kind of quick for something to get adapted that quickly. So I was
2018, yeah, 2 years, if that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had to be done at least relatively quick, and they only did the first 30 chapters, 20 chapters in 5 episodes.
Yeah, but when were they told like 2 months ago that hey, you need to animate this? Like, was it that quick? Like, because I didn't hear. I didn't hear news about it being animated until I think a month and a half ago.
Yeah. Like literally not that long ago.
Yes.
Like the Crunchyroll Twitter only started posting about it like 2 weeks ago. Crunchyroll, the Netflix Twitter only started posting about it like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Oh yeah, that's rough. So, I want to see your guys' sword gun anime. That's for sure. But in terms of like animation studios, and like the one thing that makes me sad about animation studios is sometimes you can clearly tell like. There are some people who know what studio did what just by looking at like some of their key moments or their key like animations, and, like their fight scenes. The one thing that made me sad a long time ago was One Punch Man. How I think it was, oh god, I think it was Madhouse or something like that. I used to be really good at just remembering all the studios. First season of One Punch Man was amazing, and that's what kind of glued people to it. It was a ridiculous concept with the most outrageous fights and animation and like styles that you'd ever seen. Then season 2 came out and they handed that off to another studio, and the studio just like dropped the ball. It wasn't as bombastic as it was. The character design itself, it looked like Saitama had like red zits on his face. Like
I still don't get that. I've had multiple friends tell me like on my anime list I have season 1 and season 2 at the same rank. And they were like, dude, season 2 was so much worse. And I was like, it was not. Like, what? Season 1 had all the sort of like slow-paced, introspective, let's really see what kind of guy Saitama is moments. Right. And then season 2 is when you had like the absolute, like, you want to see how strong Silverfang is? You want to really find out how strong Metal Bat is? Like, let's show off these other characters we do. They're beast mode. They get backstories. And they, like, every single one's got personality. You know, it's a typical shonen type of thing where everybody's got their own little backstory and stuff. And they're like, yeah, but the animations and the fight scenes. But I did not understand at all, bro. I watched through the entirety of season 2. I'm sure if I go back now, maybe I'll notice it. But it was nowhere near at the same level. Like, I legit did not think to complain about the animation watching through season 2.
Well, it's like you were just talking about, like, your reasoning for, like, watching certain series. Because you're watching One Punch Man for just, like, the action, and just like you're always asking that question, like, wait, if that dude's like an S class and he's only rank 8, what's the dude above him? And that's the fun part of One Punch Man, because the absurdity is Saitama's at the top, how strong is everyone below him, and what's the ranking in there? And the spicing on top, or like the icing on top, was just how beautifully animated it was. Because that's why I watched One Punch Man. It was, oh, this guy beats everyone in one punch. Of course I'm going to watch and read every single chapter of that. That's hilarious to me. But then people knock it down their score. It's just like, oh, it's still really funny. It's still One Punch Man. It's still great, but they messed up a few frames. And so that's why it deserves a 7 out of 10. And I agree with you on how that gets a little redundant with some people. It's like they want every single aspect of an anime to be perfect. Even slice of life now. I've had people complain like, oh, this slice of life's artwork and animation isn't that good. It's like, dude, they're sitting in a classroom and like he's looking out the window, man. It's like you can't expect it that much. There was
the
one
fact that you
anime.
can look at an empty cell of a classroom and generally be able to tell what anime it came from speaks volumes about the amount of artwork that fucking goes into some of those slice of life shows.
God, yeah, for real. Like there is a show called this isn't the same Nichijou you were talking about, the Daily Lives of High School Boys. It was another one called just Nichijou, just
I know Nichijou.
My Own Life.
I can't mention the one that I watch without people going, bro, but you haven't seen the original Nichijou? But you've seen Nichi Bros?
Yeah, Nichi Bros. Yeah, that was the term for it. But in that one, it was again like slice of life, and it's just girls hanging out. But then they would just have moments of like those like balls to the wall, just animation. Like you got the teacher like suplexing the deer, then you have like one
that show's fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah, then like the girl shadow boxing.
The first couple volumes of their manga at a local anime store I might pick up. I bought the first manga for Daily Lives of High School Boys. I'm gonna make a little shelf.
Oh yeah, let's get into this. So what's your guys' thing on anime merch? Like how much merch do you guys own and stuff like that? Like let's hear it, because the one thing I appreciate from Alex is that he's got tattoos from Naruto, and I think that's the coolest thing. I'd get tattoos if I wasn't fat.
Alex, talk about your tattoos from Naruto, because that's the highest point of any anime stuff that we have, I think.
Well, I have a ton of Naruto and Dragon Ball Z shirts. But the tattoo is just the 8 trigram seal that's on his stomach in the show.
So it's on your stomach?
No, I don't have abs.
Maybe,
I put
yet.
It's on my arm. Thanks, man.
Feels bad. Yeah.
His arm has abs.
My arm. Oh yeah. Well, that's the tattoo under the 8 trigram seal is the abs.
Ah, that makes sense.
It's the first one. Is a natural escalation.
I believe it.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other merch. I have to.
I want to say that this is an unfair question, as all of my merch is technically a tax write-off, but I still haven't really stacked up anything super cool.
I look around my room right now, and it's so much like comic book merch.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
I have
get that graded, man. Heck yeah.
Okay, so you asked about Shonen Jump earlier, by the way, and this is like something I shouldn't have done, but like when I was a kid, I subscribed to it. I got monthly issues sent to my house.
That's lit. You had cool parents.
I had about 200 of them. And
wow. What the hell?
The entire under my bed, it was just stacks and stacks.
The magazines, right? Like you were getting the first chapters of every episode, right?
And
send me your video cards, man?
And I threw them all out.
Wait, I mean, are they like worth money now, or is it just like cool weeb points to have?
It would have been cool weeb. Like I had like the first issue that had Naruto in it. I had like.
See, that's the stuff that's worth money.
Back when he was still called Japanese Garfield?
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
And wait, what?
It took up like an enormous amount of my bedroom. Like I didn't have a ton of room in here. And like it was literally like I could have filled up like a section of a library. Because like the Shonen Jump like issues were like big. Like they weren't like a book size. They were like bigger.
Yeah, no, they were what do you call when they do like 3 volumes of a comic book together?
A trilogy. Book?
No, what are they called?
I don't know.
When you buy something at a comic book store, they have the names for like a normal comic book, and then they have like the collection of like the first 10 volumes or something, and that's called something different.
I know what you're talking about. It's like just a thick book of it. Like I've seen those, but
why am I blanking on the name?
I think it's dummy thick is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, that is what I'm thinking of. I thought that was the Oreos I got this morning, but that was double thick.
Yeah.
No, I got something kind of like that. Like I got the actual like Gundam novels, and like they just like put them all into these like thick. I'm not sure if it's the actual like manga for them, but yeah, like I have like the first like 10 like stories of like the very first when the RX-78 thing was going on. But,
do you remember which one of the Gundams was the one that aired on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s? Late 2000s?
I've been waiting to bring it up because it's Zoids.
Is it?
New Century Zero Zoids is the best. Holy
dude, I have it up on Wikipedia
yeah,
when you guys were talking mechs, waiting to bring it up somehow.
Wait,
I was not thinking of Zoids. I was thinking of an actual. No,
shut up. We're talking Zoids now.
No,
it was not Zoids. It was Gundam Lightspeed Rescue. That's what it was.
Wait, no,
I never
no. The first Gundam I watched in Toonami was Gundam Wing, and some people argue that that's like the most boring Gundam, and I think those people are wrong. But what's this Gundam Zero Light? Wait, what?
No, what I said was a Power Rangers show. That was not a Gundam show. It was Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. I'm just memeing. Okay. But there was one of the Gundam shows that I remember. It's the only one of the Gundams that I watched front to end. Like I remember the ending. So I want to describe it, but I feel like if I describe it, I'm going to be describing 14 different Gundam shows. Is the problem?
You unlocked the memory for me with this one though.
Well, the thing with Gundam is like they do try to kind of have a lot of them run together. They're like, oh, hey, cyber new types, or hey, this kind of person, and like I haven't watched all of them, but I don't know. I'll just throw something like, was it Gundam Seed, Gundam Wing? Was it
I feel like it was either Mobile Suit Gundam or Gundam Wing. I don't know. I remember the main character was older. I remember he had a latex black suit that he dipped into. It was the one. It was one of the ones where
G-Gundam.
Isn't it Lightspeed X Gundam?
That's
Lightspeed X Gundam?
What was the main character's name? Domon Kashu.
I'm not going to remember the main character's name.
Burning Gundam?
Shining Finger was his finishing move. Yep, is that only one Gundam series that used that?
No, that's
I thought it was several that did.
G Gundam, because that was the one that was really good, where they took the politics out of Gundam and they just made it a tournament arc, where it's like, hey,
there was politics in Gundam.
In Gundam Wing, there's a lot of politics because it's the whole like, oh yeah, the super weapon and holding the world at gunpoint. Gundam 00, it was like these pacifist Gundam group that held the world at gunpoint, saying, if you guys don't make peace, we're gonna blow up the world. And I was like, this is hilarious. This is great. A lot of Gundam is like political. It really is.
Dude, I was at a Korean shop nearby that does anime stuff, and I was looking to buy one of these Gundam figurines that you build. So I was like, I'll just get the Gundam that I remember watching. So my dumbass Google's like Gundam from the early 2000s with like 20 million results. And I was like, I have no fucking idea which one of these is. I'm like Googling like latex suit, burning, shining finger, head crushing Gundam from Toonami. I'm getting no fucking results.
It's burning Gundam. No, I got you on this one.
Okay, because they have 40 different Gundams. And I was like, well, I don't want to get one that I didn't watch and just be a fucking poser. Like I want to get the one that I actually watched, right? Could not figure it out.
Wait, it's not Mobile Fighter G Gundam?
Are you sure it's not Gundam Fighter G Shippuden?
Because this guy's got the black latex, doesn't he?
Yeah, Domon Kashu.
Yes.
Wait, give me the full name again. Give me the full name again.
Yeah, Mobile
Fighter G Gundam.
Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
Yes, correct. He's 100% correct.
Okay, I'm just gonna assume that this is it. I don't fucking remember. It was 15 years ago or whatever.
Right. No, that's the guy. So the reason he's in that black latex suit because they control the Gundam by getting into the latex suit, and then like they move their arms and it moves in tandem with the Gundam. And
they have an animation every time they fucking fight. They've got this elaborate 30-second fucking latex suit animation.
Well, that's
and I remember every time going, "Oh, it's going down! It's going down!" I remember getting hyped up every time I saw that.
You were talking about the cost to make anime. Anytime you can reuse animation, you've just saved so much money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why Super Saiyan 2 looks exactly like Super Saiyan 1. They were like, we're not doing new hair. Like, that would triple our budget. Fuck that.
Have you ever rewatched the original Pokemon and how much, like, the first episode reuses animations?
What? No, not at all.
Oh, they constantly
use so many frames, so many. It's like back then too, they were on a budget. Everyone was on a budget back in the 90s.
And it's wild because it's like a 20 like slides per second or whatever, like some crazy low frame rate.
How funny would it be if we were talking about this and then we rewatched the first episode of Pokemon and it turns out in the storyline he actually goes to Oak's office 4 times to pick up Pikachu in the exact same way. It's like, oh no, like his mouth doesn't even move. Oh no, I have to go back to Professor Oak's office tomorrow.
It just
And then he
keeps
finally
replaying
picks a Pikachu and he's like, "Here you go, Ash. Don't take him out of the Pokeball until next season, though." And he just has to hold the Pokeball.
That's in reality what they did was like, hey, let's show Oak's office, but let's hold on it for as long as we can get away with.
Yeah.
No, that's when you fill the background with just like the narrator and stuff
That's
like that. Like Ash is still doing this, and that.
Yeah.
And you just hold right there of just like his town, just right there.
Holding the camera on a shot for as long as you can without getting weird is the same thing as like increasing the font size on your essay to reach the page limit. Like it's the animation version of that.
No, you gotta type words. If you're trying to reach the word count, you have to type a bunch of words in white. And then blank it out. Yeah. I learned that.
And then you make the periods a bigger font size than the words, so they take up more space.
I love the trope of them fucking. It's like, what's your ultimate move? It's like, oh, it's too fast for you to see, bro. Oh, he did it right there. And then he gets sliced in half, and it's like, oh, so fast.
Oh my god.
SpongeBob did the best parody of that. Like, you want to see me run to that rock?
Nah,
you want to see me do it again?
Futurama did an episode where they were ragging on animation, and it was like they could only communicate with the aliens through dance. So Zoidberg's like, I got this. And they're like, what are you talking about, you hard-shelled crustacean? You're not nimble at all. And then he molts, and he's just like this giant jellyfish. And he's like, allow me to communicate with them. And he's just holding a yoga pose. And every single person's like face flash by. They're like, oh, so fast. I can't even comprehend it. It's so good, bro.
I could always tell when there are moments that studios are trying to save money, especially like when they're talking, right? Whenever they're holding on a shot when someone else is talking off frame, I'm like, okay, they're saving money there. Or someone has a book to their face and they're saying something like so the guy that pushes his glasses up, like, he covers his mouth when he talks. Like, okay, they're saving money there. They're saving money
exactly.
there.
You just blew my mind.
Yeah, dude. So just always look at to see how much of their mouth is moving, and if they're like like if I see a character and I just watched The World Ends With You, the first episode today, and the main character has that little thing with his coat where it covers his mouth, and that's his style. Like Best Genius from freaking, or like Kakashi. Like, imagine how easy it was to animate Kakashi. He's got a mask. You don't even have to move his chin much. So I feel like every character that has their mouth covered is like, that's the money-saving character right there.
You can tell how much money a studio has, but how many rows of people, like if there's an audience, have faces.
Yeah,
like the further you go back,
into fucking colored dots. No offense.
Right. Yeah, for little boy. Only one color dot.
This isn't anime, but the ending to Legend of Korra, there's a wedding.
I finished that recently. Holy crap! Yeah, go on.
There's a wedding at the end, and they animate every person in the audience's face. Like you can look at every person. It's not just a dot because they took the time to do it, and you notice it. It's nice.
That's nutty.
Because like that doesn't happen. Like every tournament art anime, 3 rows max.
Oh, absolutely. Right, I mean, there's not even like a real reason to animate more. It's like, why? What? These guys are playing volleyball, dude. Like, we got to animate that.
Right, because that's where the budget's going into. And a lot of people use that term of just like, oh, like this was the budget moment kind of deal. Like, oh, we could tell the studio's trying to save money. Like, One Piece is very guilty of that. Like, because there are moments where the crew is just messing around, but they just look like stick figures at some point. Because, like, it's just like, we just got done with the battle, and it's like we're in filler number 3. It's like, well, why do we need to waste money on this? Just draw stick figures. Like, you're only going to see this frame out of 9 million other frames in these episodes. What are you going to care about this one moment? But people love screenshotting it and be like, dude, this is peak performance One Piece at its best, man, right here. It's just like, you can't even tell who the characters are. It's like a red vest just walking around. Is there an anime that you found through memes, or is there like an anime that in your opinion has like the best memes? Is there anything
all of them?
All of them?
All of them. I don't know if there's a single anime I've watched that I didn't first see a meme from and decide, you know what, this looks good enough. I'm gonna spend time watching this. I feel like the only exception to that would be the first few animes I've like ever watched in my life, which was like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and then eventually Attack on Titan. Like those are just people told me to watch them, so I watched them.
Oh, Attack on Titan. I actually finished the final season today, but
I think I'm only up to season 3. I still haven't caught up to it.
It's not a 90s anime. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
If it ain't 90s, I'm not watching it.
It's so stupid. Me and Alex have absolutely no overlap in the animes that we've seen.
It's
like,
wild.
I didn't watch classic 90s stuff, and then Alex stopped watching anime, and then I started watching anime. We have nothing to talk about. Like, we can talk about general tropes of anime, but we've gotten to the point where neither one of us will ask the other one if we've seen a certain episode of something, because the answer is always
zero chance.
Absolutely never.
So Alex, is there? Do you just refuse to watch anything that's current right now, or you just don't have time?
I say 90s. It's just stuff I grew up on,
right.
Like because I watched Toonami Jetstream and stuff.
Oh God, yeah.
But I have nothing against it, and I try, but I just always fail to get into stuff.
Just not.
I feel like it's weird that you haven't seen certain stuff now, because it's like there are various shows that are like just concentrated perfection based on what worked well from old school stuff like Naruto and One Piece. Like the shonen genre has gotten so absolutely pinpoint good. It's the same stuff, but so pinpoint good at how they execute a protagonist with a killed family and a demon sealed inside of him that suddenly takes, and he's a high schooler. Like, they've gotten so good at telling that story that fucking watching God of High School or Jujutsu Kaisen is just brilliant now, because they don't even show like the boring stuff. You don't learn about his past. You don't learn about how his parents got killed. They almost make jokes about it where it's like, you know the fucking story. His dad died. He's got a demon sealed inside of him. Let's get to the fight. Like, it's so good now. I find it so wild that you don't watch stuff like that's built on the stuff that you loved as a kid.
I like to find stuff organically. I don't know. It's just weird.
How about you organically watch Jujutsu Kaisen? Because I feel like that'd be a good step.
I'll try.
That show's incredible.
So
at least
recently,
tell me this. Have you seen Outlaw Star?
I haven't even heard of that. No.
I hope that wasn't for me, because that's a no.
No. Okay. That's a old anime in the 90s. Go on. Sorry to interrupt.
No, so what I was going to say is I've been recently going back and finishing the shows that I thought I'd never finished, like, as a kid. So the two I did first was Hikaru no Go and Prince of Tennis. And what I learned was it wasn't
about Prince of Tennis.
Well, I just want to say the thing I learned is it's not that I didn't finish them; it's that they just stopped. They stopped. Like the manga kept going, but they just stopped after like literally on cliffhangers. And
so here's the thing: if they were to bring back the Prince of Tennis, but do it with absolutely shitty animation, would that be worth watching to you?
They brought it back.
Just to go back.
They brought it back for a movie with better animation, so I won't have to know.
Nah.
The Prince of Tennis
happens a lot with like series like that, because there was a series that I loved that's old school animes. It's like early, I think it's like 2000, which Hajime no Ippo. That's the boxing one, and I love that series to no end.
That's on my to watch list. That has really good storyline animation, right?
Oh, dude, it's amazing. Like, I've never been at the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, it felt like a lot of moments I was literally watching a real boxing match, and I've like stood up from my seat like, oh, let's go. But the sad thing is like it stopped after like 3 seasons, and the manga is still going. But that happens to a lot of long running old school anime series where it's just like, oh yeah, we're done animating it, but we're just gonna keep going, and we don't have a studio to animate it, so we're just gonna keep going. Like, Ippo is one of them. Prince of Tennis is one.
I want to say Prince of Tennis is an
like
anime. Sorry, you can keep going.
No, that's all I can think of.
No, but
Prince of
Tennis is an anime and a manga. If the main character has no charisma and like nothing to them, he just wants to play tennis, and it's completely the job of supporting characters to say what he should be thinking, and it's so funny to watch. But like I played tennis in high school and like was in that world, and it is so like on point to have an antisocial tennis player as the main character.
Did I tell you the connection I had to that? I feel like you've said this before. Did I tell you the connection that I have to that from watching Haiku, the volleyball anime?
No.
They have these moments, because volleyball's got some nuances to it. So they have these cutaway moments where somebody will do something and it'll be kind of confusing, and they'll cut to 2 random characters in the crowd. And like one of the girls will be like, what just happened? And the guy behind her will be like, allow me to explain. You see, when going for a spike, if you instead tip the ball, your defender's unable to block it as he's already moving with too much momentum, resulting in an easy point. She's like, oh, so that was actually really impressive what he did. He goes, yeah, haha. And then it jumps back to the action and replays it. But now you have the knowledge of what to understand is a sick play in volleyball. And I was like, oh, that's almost smart if they didn't do it 20 times an episode, but I really enjoy that fact.
Prince of Tennis will do that, but in like a worse way, where they just make up stuff. Like,
see, that was my problem watching Prince of Tennis growing up.
because first of all, everyone knows Dunk Smash, where a high school boy jumps 10 feet into the air and smashes the ball.
Sure, yeah, I've
On
seen
any,
that.
Yeah,
but like
type.
there was one episode where a guy alternates between topspin and backspin, which it doesn't need to get into it, but basically what the show says is eventually it causes Ryoma's arm to tense up and he's temporarily paralyzed. And I was
What?
like, yeah, that's a real plot point. And he has to find
Isn't
a way.
tennis elbow a thing? They couldn't just say tennis elbow?
No, it's not just his elbow. It's like his whole body freezes for a second.
Oh, bruh.
And tennis elbow doesn't
What
make you
the-
paralyzed momentarily.
No, but it's a real thing. I feel like they could have drawn some similarities there. It's like, oh no, acute, immediate tennis elbow in the shoulder or something.
No, it's so.
I'll trust the writers of the show. I mean, maybe I won't
feel like
because they
there's a
only got one
disconnect
season.
I feel like there's a disconnect sometimes with the writers trying to be accurate, especially like sports stuff. Because in Ippo, they talk about they talk about concussions, but they don't call it concussions. They call it punch drunk. And I was thinking, like, is that just like a street? Is that what they call it on the boxing streets? Like, well, he's punch drunk, man. Watch out, because there are moments where like a character would ask like a question twice, or like they'll be their wrists would be shaking if they're trying to wrap their hands. And I'm like, oh, he's got a concussion. Like, you got to do the tests on him. But I don't know. The Prince of Tennis, it kind of sounds like that's the same thing. Like, oh, he's got tennis elbow, but it's better just to explain it in the most anime fashion possible. Like, he's tensing up. Oh no, let's save him.
Yeah,
So, oh,
it's probably got something to do with the translations too. But I feel like that's a cheap excuse sometimes. Or some things are really obvious. What happened last week? I was playing through Persona 4 Golden, and they kept saying, "Oh, we should get inside before we get a cold." Or make sure you wrap up before you get a cold. And every single time I was like, that's not how colds work. You don't just get a cold from your temperature dropping.
You didn't
like, what?
know the Japanese
That's not how that
colds
works.
are the Japanese cold's the most deadliest thing out there. You didn't
Yeah,
know?
apparently, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, it doesn't make you sick from just being physically cold. Like, that's dumb. And then somebody at some point in chat was like, nah, it's a mistranslation. That in Japanese, they say you're going to get cold. But in English, they were like, you're going to get a cold. I was like, shut the fuck up. That's absolutely not what that is. That was not a mistranslation on a very easily translated concept. Like, that was just them going, oh, Americans get cold, right? Yeah, fuck it. Say he's going to get sick.
That's my biggest problem sometimes when it comes to translations with anime series coming over to the West, is I feel like in this day and age, quite a few anime fans are pretty, they know a little bit of Japanese to kind of understand. The only time it flies over our heads is when they do like the Japanese word jokes kind of deal, because they love their word jokes and they love their like puns over there. For us here, it's like, just tell us what it is, especially if it's a noun they created. So Attack on Titan, like when they translated it, they said 3D maneuver gear. And that kind of answered my question. Like, okay, it's gear, you move in 3 dimensions, there you go. And then like when they dub it, they're just
It's
like, no, it's
omnidirectional, right?
Omnidirectional. And I'm like, that's such a weird way to say it. Hey, give me my, can you hand me my omnidirectional, or ODM gear? It's like, might as well go 3D. You said OD, say 3D.
That's not... I had a
not
similar thing
bad.
happen yet again last week while playing Persona 4. One of the characters' names is Kanji, obviously. And in the English, they're making fun of him. They're like, shut up, Moranji.
Yeah, it doesn't roll off the
Which is
tongue.
cringe. I was like, what? How is that even making fun of him? And then somebody in chat was like, the joke in the Japanese version is Bakanji, which makes way more sense in Japan.
Yeah, idiot.
Because it's Baka and Kanji. I don't know why the fuck they went with moron and kanji in English.
So
But I was like, I guess that's the best they could have done.
Like, what does baka mean? Well, there's idiot, moron, dummy. Oh, what do you call them in English? The dummy. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out.
Yeah, that's annoying. Yeah, you can't do word jokes in English.
Yeah, and then subtitles too. Some people, like when they do subtitles, when they do the TL note, that's when I have to pause. It's like he's making a word joke. This is gonna be a weird translation. Oh, there you go. Okay, thank you. Yeah, top.
Yeah.
Like the TL note at the top always helps.
I wish they synced up. That pisses me off so much because I'll sometimes listen to stuff in English if I like the voice acting, but I keep closed captioning on no matter what. Like, even if I'm not watching anime, I keep on closed captioning. And they never sync up because the dudes doing the closed captioning are their own translation guys, and then the dudes doing the American voiceovers have their own script to try and stay true to it. So it's like every single line is just them going, yo, we should head home now. And then the subtitles like, heading home we should at this moment. And it's like, bruh, like my mind is just lost. And then I just end up watching it in Japanese because like the English isn't fucking helping me because I can't turn off the closed captioning.
I mean, the reason why I put closed captions is because I'm eating, and so like the
Exactly.
crunching noises always messes with it.
What did you say? Yeah.
Yeah, I know I'm reading subtitles, so hold on, I gotta read this again. Help me out.
Did anyone here watch Eye Shield 21?
Oh, okay. I used to be a football coach, and I'm really into football. So yeah, and so it was just freshman ball, but if I say football coach, it makes me look cooler. But it was a lot. It was a lot of fun yelling at kids, and I miss doing that. Yeah. So I watched one episode of Eye Shield 21, and the thing is, again, going back to like Prince of Tennis and things like accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Because I stopped watching Prince of Tennis because my eldest brother played tennis. And I asked him, hey, is there anything called a snake shot in tennis? And he's like, what the heck are you talking about? There's no such thing as a snake shot. I was like, oh, so this isn't real? And then I showed him Prince of Tennis. He's like, no, what are you talking about? And then I stopped watching it because it wasn't accurate. I was like, oh, this is stupid. But obviously, as I watched more anime, I started to realize that there's a separation. Like, like Crokinole basket, it's basketball, but it's basketball on crack.
If people want to know what the snake shot is, by the way, it's where a guy in the middle of the court literally spins the ball around the net. And it lands in. Like, not over, around. Which is a legal shot.
Oh.
That must be difficult to pull off in real life.
Well, like,
I love when you say you stop watching because it's unrealistic. It's like, dude, this tennis anime is fucking stupid, man. I'm going back to the one about the Japanese demon trapped inside a teenager.
No, exactly. But the thing is, when it comes to sports, I want some sort of realism, which is why I think I liked Ippo and Haikyuu. But then Eye Shield 21, dude, the Japanese had no idea what football is.
No clue.
Dude.
Wait, is it American football?
Yes.
American. Yes.
Bruh.
So he doesn't want to be known as like a guy playing football for some reason. I can't remember why. So he wears an eye shield, which is like a face black thing that covers his face.
It's called a visor.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever. But I only remember one plot point, and like in the vein of like animes having like wildly dramatized thing. There's a guy who tackles him in a game, but the way he tackles him is he grabs his side, like his love handle area, and then twists the skin. And then drags him down in the most violent way. And they're like, that's a legal tackle. And the refs won't call it. And he keeps like getting like physically hurt from this guy literally like trying to rip him apart.
Wait, this happens multiple times?
In a game, yeah.
I mean, technically that is legal, but do you know how hard that is? Like, I've grabbed someone barehanded when I played football, man, and I ripped my nail because they're running so fast.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and so it's like, so that's the guy's power. I watched one episode.
It's not a feasible way to knock someone down.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I watched the first episode and I was just really confused because I'm like, I'm in football mode. And it's like, okay, kickoff. He runs past his own blockers, but then his blockers run past him and block more people. I'm like, okay, there's obviously your faster guys are to the side. And then they start talking about how, the main character, he's really good at dodging people because
he's fast.
He runs through crowds of people because he was bullied. I'm like, sure. And then like their captain of the football team is American and loves playing with guns. I was so like kind of like losing it. I was like, no, this is.
I love how he puts the team together the first episode, and he literally just running down the street like, "Hey, do you want to play football?" And they say yes.
Like, okay. Like, just gonna play for the Christmas Bowl. I'm like, that sounds like the worst event for football. Like, what is this? And I know it's critically acclaimed as like kind of like one of those like classic shonen series that's like, me versus this guy kind of deal, and all that stuff. I'm willing to give it another chance because I'm giving it too much crap for it not being accurate kind of deal. As I watch Demon Slayer and stuff like that. But it's just during that time when I was still coaching, I was like, this is impossible. None of this is possible. It's called an interception, not a fumble. And I want them to do one of my anime related dreams is to make an anime about football, but with the accuracy of like what they did for Haikyuu, not totally flooding people's heads with like football knowledge, but enough to where they understand what's going on. Like, do you know why
a casual person and a diehard person could both like enjoy it?
Yeah, and that's exactly what Haikyuu is. It's kind of like, do I love volleyball? Yeah, I do that. And me, I never played volleyball. I played it a little bit, but did terrible at it. But I can still appreciate the athleticism of someone spiking the ball, or of someone getting low enough to use their foot to block and stuff like that. And that stuff is great. And I watched an anime about It was called Hanebado, the one about badminton. I watched that and I was inspired to play badminton for like the summer, and it was great. I played badminton. I was like, holy crap, I'm actually like not bad at this. So I think it could be done the same for football, but you have to sprinkle in a little bit of information at a time. You can't just be like, okay, here's the I formation and just have an whole episode on I formation. You can't. So
Prince of Tennis actually
does hard because that's not something that inherently makes sense on how to play. Like volleyball's like, don't let the ball touch the ground, get it over the net. Baseball's hit it as hard as you can. Boxing straightforward. Football's way complicated on the amount of rules you have to understand.
Oh yeah, so that's why you have to go. That's why in my mind I'm just like, okay, this episode is just gonna be centered around getting a first down. But even then, people be like, what's a first down? What's the point of it? Why can't you just go to the goal? It's
yeah,
like,
I didn't even understand football the first time watching actual football, and I live in the States.
That's why you gotta have a main character who's never heard of football, so then you have an excuse to explain everything to him.
Yeah, it just cuts to two people in the crowd like, I never watched football. Oh, let me explain it to you in episode 2.
So when they snap the ball, everything starts. It's just that whole time. That's why I tell my buddies the perfect sports anime would be golf, and I love golf too. Like you could spend an entire episode on which club this guy's gonna use for his next shot. Like it's the perfect anime to stretch your dollar for animation.
That's true.
That's a really good idea, actually. I'd watch
the amount of scenes you could do that's just fucking trees flying by to emphasize how far the ball's going.
Like the seagulls above like the beach, and it's just like welcome to Pebble Beach, and it's just 10 minutes of exposition on why Pebble Beach is like so fun to play at, and watch out for those rocks. I don't know what club to use, and if he's making a putt, dude, 15 minutes of the ball rolling into the hole, and then you cut off right there. Like there you go. Like
yeah, it's an animator's dream.
Yeah, 18 episodes, 18 holes. There you go. It's perfect, and that'll inspire more people to play golf. Right.
I looked up Ice Shield 21 just now. It got 145 episodes, which is more than I ever thought that show would get, which makes me mad because Hikaru no Go only got 75 and ended on a cliffhanger, and that show is literally a masterpiece.
Have not seen.
Obviously.
I've heard of it.
I literally give that a 9 out of 10.
Quietly adds that to plan the watch list that I'll get to later. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get to it. So the story I love most so far is how the fact that you got freaked out, Sumet, by the sexy jutsu from Naruto and stuff like that. For both of you guys, were there any other moments in your lives that were like lewd anime moments that stuck out for you, kind of deal? Like have you ever been walked in on while like the sexual scenes are going on in anime? Because we know how weird it gets, and that's happened to me multiple times where, like, fairy tale, you see the girls in like bikinis, or it's like the bath scenes or anything, like scenes that, is there any like moments that you experienced that were really embarrassing for you guys, or no?
I
didn't watch a ton of anime like on the family TV or anything. Like I feel like I only really saw the shonen stuff that was on Toonami, and then when I was actually watching through anime like on my own time, it was always on a laptop. So I was never worried about like my parents coming into the room in the middle of a lewd scene or something. But that story of the first fucking time seeing, what is that jutsu actually called?
Sexy jutsu. It's literally called sexy jutsu.
I'm not just memeing it when I call it sexy jutsu.
No, okay. There's also harem jutsu.
That story is unmatched because I was in elementary school, I think, with volume 1, the first manga of Naruto. My buddy had read it, came over to my place, and he was like, here's the first book. I have the next 2 books, but read this one. And then I didn't read it, and the next day he was like, why didn't you read it? And I was like, I don't know, it didn't make any sense. He's like, front to back. You read left to right. I was like, okay, all right. Start reading it, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I kind of get it. And I was like, oh, you know what? We get independent reading time at school, and nobody ever fucking reads. I'm going to bring a book. Bring the book to school, flip through like 8 pages. It's like 15 pages in. Completely naked girl, clouds covering only the important bits. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, immediately look up. Complete 360. Like, everybody's still reading or whatever. Like, no, it wasn't as intense of a moment for anybody else in the room, obviously. But I was like, holy shit, covered it with my hand, flipped to the next page. I was like, I don't want to keep going in this book. I don't know what else happens.
Dude, little did he know that something was awakened in him. You're like, I got to look at it again. But not in front of everyone.
By and large, the biggest jump moment I've had regarding lewds, like ever. Like, it's never gotten anywhere near that. I guess I don't really watch all that much anime after.
I had stuff with the original Dragon Ball, just with like Master Roshi. I think her name was Launch or something like that.
Yeah, oh, bad Launch. Yeah, blonde Launch or something.
Yeah. She sneezes and changes. Just generally lewd stuff, because I had to watch on the family TV because that's the only TV we had at the time.
Yeah. I think that's why you watch more 90s anime. Like, I don't remember watching anything other than the first run of Yu Yu Hakusho and the first couple runs of Dragon Ball Z. Like, I didn't watch any Bleach, any Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin?
Rurouni Kenshin.
Rurouni Kenshin. Like, I didn't watch any of that stuff that I feel like tried and true weebs have been watching forever.
I remember when I was in kindergarten. I remember I spent a whole day watching nothing but Dragon Ball Z because
kindergarten class. Wow, this is a great class.
No, because I was home. It was the summer, but I got attacked by a wasp nest and was stung head to toe, everywhere. So I couldn't move. So I just laid on the couch, and my head was turned towards the TV, and I was like covered in baking soda, just watching Dragon Ball.
That's funny because in another universe, like the same thing happens, but you become the wasp and you never watch anime again, and you just terrorize your neighborhood using your wasp-based attacks. So that's crazy that we got this version of you.
It's unfortunate.
I think one of the oddest moments I had in terms of loot stuff that I was first exposed to was, first of all, I highly recommend Cowboy Bebop in general. I have a bunch of autographs from some of the English voice actors on this Blu-ray I got, and there's one scene in there where there's this character that was chasing the female character around about they're not sure if he's an enemy or not, and she was investigating, thinking that he has a bounty, opens a shower curtain, and I'm watching this I think at midnight, the midnight Toonami run, and uncut, uncensored, opens the shower curtain, and the guy that was chasing her is in the shower, and he's a guy with long hair, but he has tits, actual female tits, and they showed it. It was a shot where it started there, then went up to his face, and even Faye was like, "A woman? Oh, which one are you?" And then the guy was just like, "Oh, I'm whichever one you want to be." And as a kid, I was very confused.
Wait a second. I do remember having a similar thing happen. This was in middle school. This doesn't mean nobody knows how old I am. None of this matters. Yeah. I remember grabbing the first 3 copies of something that I found at my local library next to my high school, middle school. I don't know where the fuck it was.
All right, describe it. Let's see if I could zone in on it.
Yeah, let's see if you can. So this kid, it opens with a girl stepping out of the shower, having just had her monthly womanhood or whatever, right?
Oh, okay.
And but she goes to school and she's very clearly dressed like a guy. Am I remembering this right? And then I was like, oh, I guess this is sort of like a coming of age, girl wants to be a guy sort of manga.
Like a gender bend story kind of thing. Interesting.
She gets held back in one of her classes, and then the teacher takes her to another dimension.
What?
I'm lost.
Where she's some sort of fighter. There's combat. I remember combat, and I remember her struggling with her gender identity, and I remember getting through 3 books of it, and I remember giving those 3... I read through it all in the first hour of class. There's nothing to do. And I remember giving all 3 books of it to a classmate of mine, this short Asian girl. I forget her name. Thick glass. I was like, you remember mentioning anime to me, right? And she was like, yeah. I was like, have you read this? She was like, no. I was like, read this and tell me what you think. She comes back the period after that, so another class. I shouldn't have used those words. She goes, yo, that was crazy. And I was like, right? Could not find any more books at the local library after returning it. To this day, I don't remember what the fuck that was. There's just a blip of memory in my childhood that happened that I'm just not remembering.
It was probably Yotsuba.
Yotsuba? No, I have no idea.
It's definitely not. It's not Zombieland Saga.
Dude, I love Zombieland Saga, man.
I don't remember which one. I mean, him going into another dimension and going to school and struggling with gender identity. All of that was true. I don't remember the weapons. I think one of the people in the other dimension is a classmate that thinks she's a guy, and then in the other dimension learns that she's a girl because she can't hide it in the other dimension because I guess they all have other dimensional fighting forms or something. I'm probably describing 100 mangas at this point.
I think you're describing Ranma 1/2, Ranma half, because the main character is someone who could change to a boy or a girl if you throw steaming hot water on them. That's the only gender bending identity thing I could zone in on. So yeah. Top Google search says, is Ranma a boy or a girl? It's that's the first question that came up.
What is it, Ranma?
So Ranma 1/2, so 1/2. But that's all I could give you. I used to be good at this.
I'm not describing it all that well. I just keep getting Dennis Rodman, dude. I'm not getting any animes.
Ranma. That's all I can give you. In high school, one of my buddies
I was Googling Dennis Rodman. That was my problem.
close. We're getting there.
Ranma.
The anime crossover with Dennis Rodman was when he went to North Korea.
No, this definitely wasn't it. Was this
Oh,
it? No, this definitely wasn't it. I see exactly the thing you're talking about. I don't think it was a gender bender. I don't think it was the main character was changing from a male to a female. I think she was just female and just didn't want to pass as a female at school.
Right.
I don't care. It's not like I'm going to go back and read it.
Right.
But I remember that happening, sharing it with a friend. I was like, yo, anime's fucking crazy. And then never got into it for another 5 years.
Yeah, I remember I was like the go-to guy in high school because I wasn't the creepy guy that watched anime, but because I was pretty quiet about it because I knew the stigma around that time. They're just like, oh, that guy's weird. He just watches hentai all day. I did, but like I never was vocal about it. You know?
But I was aware that it was a dumb thing to say in public. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, I knew my place. And some people would just, one of my buddies would ask me saying like, dude, you watch so much of that stuff. Like, how much do you know? And for some reason, this is the one time I felt pretty cool. I was just like, all right, pull up Gundam Wing, ask me anything about it. And he asked me the most generic questions. He's like, all right, who pilots the Wing Zero? And I was like, man, dude, Hiro Yui. He's like, how do you know this? It's like, well, it's the first episode stuff kind of deal. Like, and then it came to a point where like he would bring up a 90s like anime or like Toonami anime, and then he would just ask me questions. He's like, who's Vasha Stampede? And I'm just like, dude, that's the $60 billion guy. And like, he just got, over time, they just like, I was just labeled as the guy that kind of knows everything about anime and hentai apparently. And so it was just so weird that no one else around me really jumped on watching or consuming anything anime related. They just labeled me as kind of like, oh yeah, you want to talk Dragon Ball Z? That's the guy kind of deal. And I was just like, oh yeah, I'm the guy. So it's weird.
I feel like so many people aren't super anime driven, and then you bring up something about Dragon Ball Z, and then suddenly they know fucking everything about Dragon Ball Z. And it's like, how do you not just translate this to a different animated show? Like, I'm so confused.
Right. Everyone knows that. Just give this a try. But during that time, I was really into rom-coms, and I was just like, oh, I hope no one finds out that I'm into rom-coms, all these romantic stories. No, I'm a man. I love muscly guys punching each other kind of deal. So all that's behind me now. Me, I really don't care. Were there in the future when this COVID stuff is finally over, like, do you guys plan on going to like any conventions or like anything like that?
Absolutely.
I just want to go outside.
He hasn't left his house in a year. He just wants to step outside for once.
Yeah, man. Like, I feel like so much of being able to do, like, it's only been super recently that I've really just sort of been like a YouTuber by like the true definition of the term. And I feel like it gets wasted a lot to not be able to fucking do YouTube shit. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it's like going outside, going to places. Like, I could never justify like taking a day off work to go to an anime convention. Like, I gotta give up the $80 I would make from working a day at work and then also pay $40 for a ticket and drive out there. I was like, I was never gonna be able to do that.
Right.
And then YouTube becomes your job, and it's like, dude, not only does this not lose me money, but like I can take pictures there. Like, I learn more about the culture and meet people. Like, this is absolutely something I should be doing.
Oh man, I look.
And it's like, dude, like, it opens up so many fucking opportunities in that regard. Yeah.
Dude, first anime convention vlog, dude. I'm looking forward to that, man. That's gonna be hype. Is there a specific convention you're looking at? Because I've been to quite a bit. Like, I've been to AX 3 times. It's like 2020 was supposed to be the year I was supposed to go to AX with a premium pass, which costs $400, but that you get treated like royalty. You get treated like royalty because you get to cut the lines. You get to go to an air conditioned room with free snacks and possibly meet the guests as they walk by, kind of deal. And like, that was supposed to be it, and then this stuff happened. So, and me and my crew, we're not even sure if we're gonna go to conventions even next year because we're just like, crowds of people just brings anxiety now. We're like, dude, crap. But
yeah,
in our convention stories, like standing in lines and losing our mind and buying stuff is
anime
it's
conventions
best.
Specifically aren't exactly the best known for people keeping their fucking space. Yeah,
I got a million of those stories, but that's another thing.
That's next episode. Remember to subscribe.
Yeah, dude, like, favorite, subscribe, man. But that's cool. You guys are willing to go. Just
yeah,
be
I mean,
safe
in
out
Virginia, we have a couple anime conventions that they have near Potomac. I think the biggest one is OtakuCon. I think they do every year.
Is there KatsuCon or something like that?
KatsuCon, that's it.
I've heard of KatsuCon too. I think I was supposed to go to KatsuCon at one point, but then I didn't have.
Those are ones. Those are ones that we have here, and that some of my friends, like Kyle's sister, goes to a couple of them, and I remember hearing these.
Katsucon was when I was supposed to see what I wanted to meet one of the voice actors from Love Live. I will not talk your ears off about Love Live, but I'm a big Idol fan. I got like the glowy sticks. I got to meet one of the Idol groups called Aqua coming to LA, because they never go to the US. They never perform their songs in the US.
Wait, so when you say Idol fan, do you just mean Idol fan, like in general idols, like not specifically a particular K-pop, J-pop group?
I'd probably say this, like, because I'm a fan of just one idol group.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Like when I think of like a fan of idols, I think of somebody who's like, dude, I fucking love Blackpink. I never think of somebody who's like, I love Idol. I thought you meant like just all of them. Just if they're famous and Korean, fuck it. That's what I thought at first.
No. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. Yeah, I'd probably say the reason I use the term idol fans is because I'm in the realm of just like whoever I do follow, I'm gonna either own the merch, listen to the music, and try to get like the exclusive light sticks. But to narrow it down, I'm a huge fan of Love Live, which is like you've probably seen a bunch of GIFs and memes on them. It's like the girls in frilly outfits singing on stage, and it's just them trying to make sure their school doesn't close down.
That idol group, right?
Yeah. So it's just what you say, that idol group. I'm just like, I know my place. You can say whatever you want, all good. But in my experiences, I was able to like see the group live and stuff like that, and it's. My goal overall is to see them in Japan when they do their final live, and I cry when they finally disband and their contracts expire, kind of deal. But the amount of money,
is it that scripted? Do all idol groups fall apart like that?
They're on a contract. So to a small crash course on idol groups in Japan that I know of, in my experience, is that they form the group, they make the big announcements, hey look, here's our music, here's their personas, here's an anime, and here's their gacha games, all that stuff. And their contract is, you're under our production company, and you're going to go for X amount of years, and then when the contract expires, you can go your separate ways and do your own things. It's kind of like Wu-Tang, where it's like, we're going to make you famous through our brand, and you could do whatever you want after. You can continue voice acting, you could do your own singles, do your own album, do your own acting careers, and so forth. So that's the way they treat them over there. So it's a big deal when they do disband, because they're not coming back together. Then again, one of the veteran groups actually did come back together, because dude, they're printing money with these things, man. It's insane. Like
the idol business is an unbelievably huge business in Japan, right? Like it's formulaic down to a. Like
it's insane.
Like it's a business, basically.
It really is, and it's like they know how to suck money out of our pockets, because all they have to do is make one song that sounds like they're singing to me, and I'm like, oh my god, he's singing to me on this holiday Christmas day, and you take my money. And the way they do their seats for raffles, it's like it's a raffle on top of a raffle. In order for you to buy a ticket to one of the live shows, which was their final live show, they were called Muse, you had to buy their Blu-ray, and their Blu-ray had a raffle ticket. The raffle ticket gives you eligibility, if you win, to get a ticket for their concert, and then that ticket to the concert is a random seat in the hall. Like, it's like random on top of randomness. And there's one cringe like picture of this dude that bought 100 Blu-rays. None of them won.
Yeah, that's a thing,
bad.
right? Like online digital sales is not a big thing in Japan and in Korea, because physical copies are such a big deal, and they'll have like not only like different, like they'll have different CD covers. So it's like, not only do you buy the CD physically in a store, but it's like you want to get all 5 versions that have each one of the, or you want to specifically get the one with your favorite idol member on it on the cover, or like get all 5 of them if you're like a true super fan, so that you have the collection of every one of them. It's smart. I appreciate the hustle, man. I wish there was shit like that here to get that excited about. I feel like I would definitely be more of a fan of certain artists if they just went all out on like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Corpse and Machine Gun Kelly released like a jacket for like one song, and I was like, dude, if people did that for a whole album, like think about how many people would have a Flower Boy album just because of how much they love Tyler the Creator's album. You know what I mean? Dude, they had merch around that.
They're just on another level of just marketing. That's just how it is. Like for me, I have like some of the branded light sticks. See, I own 6 light sticks, right? and each color, you rotate colors, and whenever a girl is singing, you try to match the color because that's the girl that's singing, and then there's
oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's fucking lit. Wait, so like the whole
is.
crowd's color fucking changes when they change who's doing the vocals, like during a live show?
Dude, yes. So I'll tell this story.
That's so lit.
No, I'll tell this story.
Literally.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Shut up, Alex. How do I leave the call?
And so the great thing about like Love Live is that the girls, they're literally like a rainbow of colors. You have one girl, she's got her persona and she's the color blue. You have another one that's then her color's purple and all that. And they tailor the light sticks that they sell to the group. And so like obviously, if all the girls are singing at once, choose your color. Who cares? Choose your color. But then if one girl's solo is coming up and that girl's color is yellow, and then everyone syncs up all together. So when she steps forward and does her solo for the song, yellow all across the dome, right? And so one thing that I was a part of, not really a part of in planning wise, but when I got to see my idols live, Aqua, in 2018, it was their first time performing in 2018 in LA, and these idol fans got together and they said, hey, we're gonna make a rainbow choreographed to their song when they do this song. If they do this song, we don't know if they're actually going to do the song, but we're banking on it right now because we heard rumor about their set list, and I there is video of it. You're not allowed to take video or pictures inside their concerts, but someone was bad. I took a picture, sue me. And what happened is that when the girl was doing her solo at the final song, slowly you see the entire arena turn rainbow, and then you can see the look on her face. She's like, oh my god, I've never seen this before. They may be acting, maybe not. They're good at both. But at the very end of it, in Japanese, they're like, wow, amazing. You guys made a rainbow. This is amazing. And because of that, the U.S. ended up setting the standard for what is done in all other Japanese domes. Because now when we look at footage of all the shows in Japan, they started doing the rainbow too, saying, that's a great idea, U.S. We're going to start doing the rainbow. And then it became a standard from this point onward. And so it was insane. Like,
I'm so proud of this community.
Yeah. No,
Thanks, Gabby.
Thumbs up. Can we give a moment to Idol fans, please?
To all singers.
To all singers. And so, okay. Lastly, I just want to recommend, Love Live, Cowboy Bebop, Girls and Panzer. I sent you a Blu-ray at one point. I'm looking forward to that unboxing video. Just want to say that
it's on a table over there. I gotta fucking do that.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you, man. And I hope you gave Alex his stuff too.
Oh, I mean, I haven't unboxed it yet, but I will do when I do.
I spoiled it. I'm sorry. Oh God.
It's fine.
Trash
I'm not
the video.
gonna remember by the time we finally get to it.
Just trash the video. I'm editing this part out. So I think that's all we could talk about for now. Wow, this almost going for an hour and a half now. Before we go, may I read you guys my favorite green text?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so hope I won't botch this one. It's not too long. Okay. So, Be Me went to Japan for vacation, has a very close online Japanese friend that I met when I was loitering around a Guitar Hero group. We decided to meet up, though he's a guy. Oh, no, thought he's a guy. Short-haired cutie, 9 out of 10 appeared. Her name is Now. Even though it's the first time meeting her in real life, we hit it off pretty well. Now talks to me about pretending to be a guy online. She wanted to talk with someone about rock, but she thinks she thinks people online wouldn't take her seriously because she's a girl. She apologizes. Apology accepted, but on one condition. Says, I want to play Guitar Hero with you. She laughed and agreed. Nice smile. Oh God. Went to her
I already
apartment.
know. I already see it coming. Yeah.
No. She hurriedly opened her PS4, accessed Guitar Hero. Pretty high level, plays. My face when she lost. My face when she turned off the game and started sulking. Started motivating her. Hey, now you're a rock star.
Get your game on. Go play.
All right.
I haven't heard that one before. That's a clean one.
I had no idea where that was going. Oh.
When you were calling it, I was like, oh, he knew this one. I knew it.
So disappointed.
No, cause I mean it's always the Japanese friend. Like so they have to have like because once you've heard a few of them, it'll be like
that
move to Korea. It'll be like move to Korea, find my Korean friend Shippuden, and it's like, all right, well, I got an idea where this is gonna end, you know?
Okay. Oh my god. Yeah. thank you guys for joining this episode. Learned a lot about your guys' anime tastes. I'll do my best to check out any of the recommend. I don't even think you guys recommended me. I'll check out Prince of Tennis. Why not? And
Yeah, we're
No,
not
no,
very
no.
good at
Hikaru
that.
no
Yeah.
Go. That's the one you should check out.
Hikaru no Go. I'm ready it down.
Alex
Hikaru
recommends
no Go.
Naruto, this little-known anime.
I think I've seen the series actually. Holy crap! Oh, okay. I'll
No
get back to you guys
way.
on that. But thank you guys for listening to this episode. Check out Sumito Media, twitch.tv/Sumito Media, his Sumito Media Alert merch line. Anything else you want to plug, Sumito, Alex? Anything that's coming up soon?
Thanks for having us on the r/anime podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we,
fun.
we are
Podfathers,
going through
a lot of fun.
rebranding, so we may not be our anime soon. I'll probably bleep that out. I don't know. But again, thank you guys for joining us in this. And if you guys are ever interested in the future doing another anime related episode or just anime updates, just let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Me and Alex are quite reliable with our podcast episodes. I'm sure we'll be on again. New episodes weekly, baby.